Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Colleen Coonley on behalf of the board of the Pennsylvania League of Women Voters. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2025 Pennsylvania Appellate Court Forum. The League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania is a statewide, nonpartisan, nonprofit member organization. It does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. We, the state league, as well as dozens of local leagues throughout the state, regularly host educational and candidate forums to provide voters with the opportunity to learn more about the election process and how to be engaged and empowered voters. Thank you to our sponsors, Pennsylvanians for Modern Courts, the Committee of 70, and thank you to Pennsylvania Cable Network for live streaming this event. Thank you to the candidates, to our league members, and to everyone viewing this program. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome every candidate from every party who will be on the ballot for an open seat on Pennsylvania's intermediate appellate courts. I have an aside, but it's an important one. You've probably been hearing a lot about judicial retention elections. That is not what is at issue for the candidates in tonight's forum. Tonight's candidates are running to be elected for open seats on their respective courts. They're seeking to be elected to the position in the first place. They're not in the position. They're not seeking to retain the position. One more thing about this aside, at the statewide level, there are 2 intermediate appellate court judges and 3 Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices up for retention. Under the Pennsylvania Constitution, judges may stand for retention after 10 years of service. They'll be on the ballot as a referendum question. It's a yes or no determination whether they should remain in that position. You can hear directly from those justices and judges in 2 excellent programs put on by the Pennsylvanians for Modern Courts. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices up for retention engage in a fireside chat on September 8th, 2025. It's available on PCN on the Pennsylvanians for Modern Courts website. They're holding another fireside chat on October 14th that you could register by going to the Pennsylvanians for Modern Courts website. And that's a fireside chat with those 2 intermediate appellate court judges who are up for retention. Okay, so remember, all that retention election information is an aside. What we're here for tonight, the main event, is a forum for these candidates in contested elections. And for the job of moderator, I'm delighted to introduce Amy Weidstrom, Executive Director of the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania. Amy earned her PhD in political science from Syracuse University. Prior to joining the League, Amy served as faculty and chair of the Department of Historical and Political Sciences at Arcadia University. Her academic expertise lies in American politics with a focus on civil engagement, public policy, campaigns and elections, and the role of women in politics. Her professional background also includes roles in the nonprofit sector, at the Brookings Institution, and with a United States Senate committee. So with all that, I turn it over to Amy Weidstrom.
Thank you, Colleen, and good evening and welcome everyone to tonight's candidate forum. I'm really excited that you've joined us. We have the privilege this evening of hearing from 2 distinguished candidates who aspire to serve on the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania and 3 distinguished candidates who aspire to serve on the Superior Court of Pennsylvania. Each of these candidates have responded to the League of Women Voters questions for our online voter tool, vote411.org. And I encourage you to review the candidates' answers to these questions, and I thank the candidates for responding to those questions. The questions this evening will allow voters to learn more about these candidates beyond the questions they've already answered. As a reminder to our viewers, this event is being live streamed and it is a webinar. Everyone in attendance on the webinar is muted and we are not taking questions from the audience. Before we dive into the discussion, I want to review the rules quickly for our candidates. The first half of the evening will be dedicated to the Commonwealth Court candidates. The second half of our time together will be dedicated to the Superior Court candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to offer an opening statement. Then I will ask a series of questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. If anyone is mentioned specifically by an opponent, they will have 30 seconds for rebuttal once all candidates have offered their initial response. At my discretion, I may also request clarification of any responses. Each candidate will then have 2 minutes for a closing statement. To help you track your time, there will be a timer on screen. You can see it there, timer. There will, again, counting down 2 minutes for opening and closing remarks, 60 and 30-second response time and rebuttal time, respectively. And if you reach your time, you will hear wrap-up music letting you know you've reached your time, so you can imagine the Oscars. In fairness to all candidates, we'll be monitoring time closely, and we may mute participants who exceed our grace period of 10 seconds. So with that, let's get started with our candidates for the Commonwealth Court, and I welcome Judge Stella Tsai and Mr. Matthew Wolford. Thank you both for being here and joining us this evening, Judge Tsai and Mr. Wolford. Again, we're going to start with opening statements from each candidate. The order for the candidate statements was randomly selected by Colleen, actually. So our first, we'll hear from Judge Tsai, followed by Mr. Wolford. So Judge Tsai,
Okay.
Please, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just have one question from a logistical standpoint, or my internet coverage is a little shaky at this point. So if I fade out, my apologies, but I hope that didn't take any of my any
We'll be
seconds off, but I
attentive to
just
time.
wanted to mention that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, so many thanks to the League of Women Voters, the Committee of 70, and the Pennsylvania Modern Courts for sponsoring this judicial forum. It's been my honor to serve as a judge of the Court of Common Pleas for the last 9 years, after being appointed by Governor Tom Wolf in 2016, then winning election in my own right in 2017. I've decided to run for Commonwealth Court because it weighs in some of the most important issues of our day, including voting rights, workers' rights, free and fair elections, public education, the environment. And a lot of this happens before it gets to the Supreme Court, and not all these cases do. As the sitting judge in this race for Commonwealth Court, I am the candidate. I think that's best prepared to serve on this court. That's because I had the experience, both as a judge and as a lawyer, to address the issues and the breadth of cases heard by the Commonwealth Court. I've made it my life's work to ensure that our legal system is fair and accessible to all Pennsylvanians. From the time I was a child, I've never taken democracy for granted. I was born in the United States of America as a citizen because my parents left Taiwan at a time that the country was under the control of a repressive regime that imposed martial law until 1987. That regime imprisoned my uncle Tetsu for 18 years for the crime of producing plays that were critical of the government. And he did end up in the United States, fortunately, opened up an ice cream shop, and is probably one of the happiest and most mature people I've ever met. I tried his ability to be who he is and who he wanted to be because he could speak freely. History and those of others like are a reminder of how precious our rights are and underscore how important this judicial election is. So thank you. I guess I have two more seconds. Just wanted to add that don't take for granted our democracy nor my family. My husband, Paul McCarthy, just retired from the school district of Philadelphia after 20-some-year career. Our 23-year-old son, Emmett, is an animator. Our 31-year-old son, Atticus, now lives in Denmark and works as...
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we look forward to hearing more from you. Mr. Wolford, your opening statements, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Matt Wolford, and I'm privileged and honored to be a candidate for the judge of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. I've devoted my career to understanding and applying the law in service to the people of the Commonwealth. Early in my career, I served as a civil litigation attorney in the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General in Philadelphia, during which time I argued my first appeal in the Commonwealth Court. That was 1989. I later prosecuted environmental crimes as the attorney in charge of the Attorney General's office, field office in Meadville. And then I went on to serve as assistant counsel and regional counsel for the Department of Environmental Protection, also in Meadville, representing the Commonwealth in complex matters before state and federal courts, including a number of cases argued before the Commonwealth Court. That was one of the main courts that DEP actions go to. Today, I run my own law practice in Erie. I focus on environmental law, and I help individuals and small businesses navigate government regulations. I also share my knowledge as a lecturer for the Pennsylvania Bar Institute and other professional organizations, and I've taught environmental law as an adjunct professor at Gannon University, Thiel College, and Allegheny College. The Commonwealth Court plays a vital role in ensuring our government follows the law and protects the rights of every Pennsylvanian. My experience, which spans government litigation counsel, state prosecutor, state agency counsel, and private practice, has prepared me to serve impartially and with respect for both the rule of law and the people it protects. I'm highly recommended by the Pennsylvania Bar Association and endorsed by law enforcement, including the Pennsylvania State Troopers Association and the Pennsylvania State Lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police. I'm also a lifelong Pennsylvanian, a husband, proud father of 4 children, all in their 20s. I know firsthand the importance of fair, efficient, and even-handed judiciary. I respectfully ask for your support and your vote so I can continue to serve the Commonwealth with integrity and dedication. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you, both of you, for those opening remarks. We are now going to move into our question and answer phase. The order for answering questions will alternate between candidates. And since we started opening statements with Judge Tsai, I'll be starting our questions with Mr. Wolford. So starting with Mr. Wolford, why are you seeking to serve as an appellate court judge? You're on mute and you have 1 minute once you go off mute. Oh,
How about
there we
now?
go. Yep, great.
That happened automatically. I didn't arrange for that, so sorry about that. Well, I'm not serving, or I'm not running for any court. It's the Commonwealth Court in particular. I enjoy appellate work. I like the academic rigor of it, but as I indicated, this is the court that I've been in front of pretty much my entire career. My first case was in the 1980s. The Commonwealth Court's both a trial court and a court of appeals, and I've been in front of the court in both capacities over the years. It's the appellate court I've spent the most time in, and it's also a trial court. I actually have a trial court matter in front of them right now. The reason that the Commonwealth Court is so important is because it deals with government regulation and how much government is enough government and how much is too much. We have a lot of regulations in Pennsylvania. The antithesis of that is personal freedoms and private property rights. And so we need common sense judges that understand how much government is enough government and put some restrictions on unreasonable regulation. Thank you.
Thank you. And Judge Tsai, why are you seeking to serve as an appellate court judge?
I just would state something I mentioned earlier, is that having served as a judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia, and also having had the opportunity to serve as a litigant, I have had cases that were litigated before the Commonwealth Court, and find that it's a forum because of, as Matt mentioned, the court that deals with government appeals, both as a trial court and appellate court, that the challenge of handling those cases is of particular interest to me. I've had a few number of cases that were tried, especially in the election and voting rights area, and just found that it's a thing that I enjoy. I like working. I understand how to collaborate with individuals, which is one of the things that happens when you're at the level, is that you have these 3 panels, and you also get to serve as a trial judge, which is something I've enjoyed uh, years.
Thank you for that. I have a question coming up in a few minutes about the
I think I was
scope
walked
and
off, or I was asked to complete my statement. Is that right?
Oh, sorry.
The
Sorry,
music?
I didn't,
Cued by
you broke up. Sorry. All right, sorry about that, everyone.
Okay.
I have a question about the scope and the work of the Commonwealth Court coming up, but I wanted to ask both of you, and so I'm going to start with Judge Tsai. What would you say to those who are concerned about the amount of money being spent on statewide judicial elections, including from donors outside the Commonwealth? And what steps would you take to maintain independence from campaign contributors and special interests?
So, thank you. Should I answer that question first?
Yes, yes, please, Judge Tsai.
Okay. So, our current code of judicial conduct provides good limitations on what, and tries to mitigate the influence of any contributions. I mean, I think that we have decided, and that's the way we're set up, is that we have judicial races that are competitive, at least on, from a partisan standpoint, when you get elected. But then when you move to the retention, it's supposed to be based essentially a performance review based on your competence and how well you've done, and it's not nonpartisan. And there are certain restrictions. Our code does say that if there's a certain amount of obligation, we have an ethics code that requires us to make sure that if there are contributions that are excessive, or you get a number that we measure ourselves, or we make sure that we understand what it would subject us to disqualification, handling a manner involving an individual who may have given a lot of money.
All right, thank you for
So
that.
I think that we do have restraints, and I think that
I'm sorry, Judge, it's breaking up a little bit, so I'm having a hard
okay.
time knowing when you stop speaking and when we should.
Okay, that's
move
fine.
on.
I don't know what's up with this internet here, but let's keep our fingers crossed that the rest will work well.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. All right, so Mr. Wolford, what would you say to those concerned about the amount of money being spent on statewide judicial elections, and what steps would you take to maintain independence from campaign contributors and special interests?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that judicial races have become so political. I haven't really seen that in the Commonwealth Court race, the one that we're in. Not surprisingly, because I think outside political contributions are more interested in the Supreme Court, because they tend to set policy as opposed to sort of the nuts and bolts of deciding cases. And so I don't know that that's a big problem for this particular race. I think it's unfortunate that money influences all politics. And frankly, I think it's unfortunate that we have a partisan process for electing judges in Pennsylvania. We're one of few states that do it this way, but you have to, pick which party you're in to run. And then you run under that party banner, which people take, they have perceptions about that, even though it may have nothing to do with their qualifications. And then when you're done, you can't be partisan at all. And so it's an odd process, and I just think we should try to keep as much money out of it as possible.
Thank you for that. I want to turn now to what you both actually referenced a few minutes ago about the work of the Commonwealth Court. Starting with Mr. Wolford, the Commonwealth Court is primarily responsible, as you noted, for cases involving state and local governments and regulatory agencies, but it also acts as a trial court where lawsuits are filed by or against the Commonwealth. So my question for you, and then for Judge Tsai, what experience do you bring that prepares you for this work?
As I indicated in my opening remarks, I started my career working for the Attorney General's office in Philadelphia, where I defended Commonwealth agencies, PennDOT, state police, Department of Health, but any state agency that was being sued. Those cases involve sovereign immunity and Commonwealth parties, which is why they go to the Commonwealth Court. Commonwealth Court deals with not only with Commonwealth parties, but also certain subject matters such as election law, eminent domain, zoning, all of those sorts of things. The way that the structure works of trial courts that feed into the Commonwealth Court is a lot of times they're not the Court of Common Pleas, they are actually state agencies. And that's like the Environmental Hearing Board is my main trial court when I'm dealing with the DEP matter, Department of Environmental Protection. And so if you understand that structure, which I do because I work for the state agency and I was the head of a state agency and I understand rulemaking and I understand how the regulations work and I understand how they all feed into the Commonwealth Court, I think is very helpful to have a knowledge of the inner workings of Commonwealth agencies for this court.
Thank you. And Judge Tsai, what experience do you bring to this work?
So I think that the work that I've done through my career as a lawyer and certainly as a judge are beneficial. And when I served as the chair of administrative law at the City of Philadelphia Law Department, I oversaw the cases involving social service agencies and labor and employment claims, and I helped to rewrite our zoning code in Philadelphia. I also understand, and this is a thing that is very useful, the challenges of managing caseloads and setting timelines for addressing cases, and have certainly served in kind of an appellate situation where we did an en banc on it was a criminal case, but understand how it is to it's second nature to me now, how to handle these types of cases. And certainly serving on the Judicial Ethics Advisory Board has been helpful to me too, because I've learned a lot about operations of certain courts. And I heard the music, so I'm stopped.
Thank you. I believe we have time for one more question before we move to closing remarks and then on to our Superior Court candidates. And the question I would like to ask, starting with Judge Tsai, is Pennsylvania's 3 co-equal branches of government serve as checks on each other's power, right? We have separation of powers at the federal level and at the state level. How do you see the role of the judiciary in maintaining that balance?
It's essential, and I believe that I think it's been recently said that certainly the courts do not make the law, but interpret it and also make sure that individual rights are protected under our Pennsylvania Constitution, which, as you probably know, is older and more comprehensive than the U.S. Constitution. And to ensure that the parties who, I think one important role we play is to ensure that our people who encounter the legal system or judicial system feel that they are treated fairly and impartially when they encounter the system. I mean, I think one of the key issues for us is that we have litigants who need to feel that they are getting a fair shot at justice when they come to the courts, because it's important that we have a contract with our populace, and it's important that they feel that the system works for them. And so to me, it is essential that the courts do their job in making sure that the rights of people are protected.
Great. Thank you for that. And Mr. Wolford, to you, how do you see the role of the judiciary in maintaining the balance across the branches of government?
I think this has become a problem in recent years. The courts and judges need to stay in their lane. So if judges respect the rule of law, then they also respect the constitutional and the separation of the 3 powers that you identified. If you respect the rule of law, number one, you uphold the Constitution. Number two, you interpret and apply statutes as they were intended by the legislature. We actually have a statute that requires that of judges in Pennsylvania. And you don't legislate from the bench is the third thing. And so once judges start engaging in that sort of thing, what they're doing is they're actually making policy decisions that is really the province of the legislature, and they should not do that. In my field, we also have regulations which are promulgated by the executive branch, which sort of muddies the waters a little bit. But judges, I think it's important that they understand their role is deciding cases in accordance with the law and not trying to make policy decisions and not trying to tell the executive branch how to do their job.
Great. Thank you both for that. It is time now for our closing statements. So we have 2 minutes of closing statements per candidate, and we will offer our closing statements in reverse. So as Judge Tsai kicked us off with the opening statement, we'll have Mr. Wolford lead us off with the closing statement.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And thank you to the League of Women Voters and everyone who joined in the forum tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to answer questions and share my thoughts about the Commonwealth Court. Throughout my career, I've served the people of the Commonwealth from many perspectives. First, as a civil litigator, working for the Commonwealth, and then as a prosecutor for the AG's office, then as assistant regional counsel for the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. And now I'm a small business owner practicing environmental law in Erie. In each of these roles, I've argued numerous cases before state and federal courts and state tribunals, which feed into the Commonwealth Court. The appellate court where I've appeared most often is the Commonwealth Court, and I've also appeared in its original jurisdiction, and I have a case there now. I think this broad experience matters. The Commonwealth Court decides issues that affect every citizen, how state agencies carry out the law, how local governments operate, how personal freedoms and private property rights are protected from government overreach. These are the things that the Commonwealth Court deals with, and I know processes inside and out. I'm committed to applying the law as it's written with fairness, integrity, and independence. My goal is to have a court that's efficient, transparent, and above politics and serves all Pennsylvanians equally. I'm also a lifelong Pennsylvanian, a husband, a father of 4. I want the Commonwealth Court to be a place where every family, every community, and every business knows that they're going to receive a fair outcome. Whether you choose to vote on election day or with a mail-in ballot, I respectfully ask for your trust and your vote. And I would remind everybody, although we have 36 days until the election, on the election day, mail-in voting starts long before that. And so I would encourage everybody to get out and vote. It seems that this is referred to as an off-year election, and no one really cares about judicial candidates until you're standing in front of a judge. Then it's the most important person in your world. And I would encourage everybody to take it seriously and to get out and vote. And I thank you for your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Judge Tsai.
Okay, thank you. So just wanted to add that I too, as Matt, received a highly recommended rating from the Pennsylvania Bar Association. I'll just want to throw that out there. And I just also want to talk a little bit more about my work and life experience that informs how I approach decision-making as a judge. I've spent a lot of time doing pro bono and volunteer work when I was a lawyer, 10 years securing asylum for a Chinese refugee fleeing political persecution who ran aground in Rockaway Beach in New York. I also worked with public interest firms to protect voters' rights, and I have dedicated many hours as a lawyer, of course, and I've dedicated many hours helping HIV and AIDS patients in legal matters, including end-of-life issues. From those clients, I learned how important it is to treat each person with respect and humanity, no matter where they come from. I've carried these values with me to court and do my best to ensure the courtroom and legal system that they are welcome and it's accessible to all. I know what it takes, I believe, to deliver justice or favor and democratic all holds. Pennsylvania, this election on November 4th is it's important. That already said, it will determine the future of our court for judges. I just humbly ask for your votes. So thank you very much for your time and attention to these very And I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Sy and Mr. Wolford, for your time this evening. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. We know how busy you both are. I'm going to ask Judge Sy and Mr. Wolford to turn off their cameras. And we are now going to turn our attention to the candidates for the Superior Court. For those joining us, we've got Judge Newman,
Okay.
Mr. Wassmer, and Dr. Batista. If you could please turn your cameras on and join us here, we will be sure to spotlight you so everyone can see you. We have two of the three so far. I'm going to remind everyone, and there's Judge Newman, perfect. I'm going to remind everyone of the sort of rules of the road for those of you joining us. Newly for the Superior Court candidates, every candidate has 2 minutes for opening remarks and closing remarks. We have randomly drawn the order for those remarks. So we will begin with Mr. Wassmer, then move to Dr. Batista, then third Judge Newman. I have a series of questions I will ask you. Everyone has 1 minute to answer. You will hear a sound, although I think we might be changing it up a little bit. You'll hear a sound when you've reached your time, and then there's a 10-second grace period after that sound, at which point we will mute candidates to keep our forum moving. So with that, I would like to ask Mr. Wassmer to provide his opening remarks for us.
Sure. My name is Dan Wassmer. I've been a practicing attorney for 35 years. I had been involved politically for some time. I had been appointed by a former governor to a specific commission. I've worked as a assistant county solicitor. Basically, I had represented Bucks County as a client, essentially. I've been admitted to 4 different states. I was admitted in New York primarily to begin with. Then came Pennsylvania, I'm sorry, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Actually, my practice was primarily focused on New York and Pennsylvania for quite some time. My family is originally from Pennsylvania. I've been back and forth between Pennsylvania my entire life. I've currently a college professor, amongst other things, practicing attorney. Also in my legal practice, I've handled all kinds of matters. I've handled criminal matters, civil matters, going to the court in the Bronx, for instance, Bronx, New York, for criminal cases, going into cells, dealing with people there. I've gone to prisons to speak to people. I've handled environmental matters. I've handled a lot of guardianship matters, trust and estates matters, you name it. I basically described my experience as being everything except patent law. One thing I would like to say, I'd like to actually thank PCN Network for covering this, and I want to stand corrected on a statement I made during my interview. The Superior Court actually handles more criminal cases than civil. I got that wrong because I forgot to factor out the Commonwealth Court aspects of the civil stuff. So thank you for letting me participate.
Thank you very much. Our second opening statement will come from Dr. Batista. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to the listeners of this event. My name is Maria Batista, and I am a candidate for the Pennsylvania Superior Court. The question that I get across this Commonwealth, and sometimes people do not want to ask the question, is what does the Superior Court do and why does it impact me every single day? The Superior Court is one of 2 intermediate appellate courts. It hears all criminal appeals and most civil cases. When you think about families and children and your grandchildren, when you think about your property rights, when you think about business matters or contracts, or when a loved one passes away, what happens to those estate assets that they have, or someone is injured, those are all civil matters that if they are appealed from your court of common pleas, no matter what county you come from, those, if appealed, also go to the Superior Court. So we have all appeals of criminal matters from your Court of Common Pleas from all 67 counties and most civil cases from all 67 counties that, if appealed, go to the Superior Court. It's one of the busiest courts in the nation. There are 15 judges on this court. There is one vacancy, and you have 3 candidates for which you may select from here on November 4th or by mail-in or absentee ballot. My career has spanned over 30 years. I became a lawyer in 1993. I've done the types of civil cases that go to the Superior Court. I'm also, my understanding is I'm the only prosecutor of the 3 candidates that has done and practiced criminal law. And I've also was a hearing examiner where I've issued hundreds of decisions. And similar to a judge of a Court of Common Pleas, those skill sets that I had as a hearing examiner are the same types of skills you need as a judge on the Superior Court. And I am ready to serve on day one as a judge on the Superior Court with the support of you, the voter, that you believe I am the best candidate.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And finally, last but not least, Judge Newman.
Hello, everyone. First, thank you to the League of Women Voters for setting this up. I think it's very important that we are able to communicate to as many voters as possible across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I know that everyone's been working hard in this race. My name's Brandon Newman. I am currently a judge in Washington County. For those of you who don't know where Washington County is, it's about 20 miles south of Pittsburgh. Right now, I have a civil docket, and I also do preside over Veterans Court. Prior to that, I did a criminal docket for a few years, and I did family law dependency. I basically have done all the types of cases that go to the Superior Court. The Superior Court is a court of interest for me. It's one that I enjoy the topics. In private practice, I was a civil litigator, and so most of those cases would go to the Superior Court. All the experience that I have allows me to hit the ground running once I'm elected to the Superior Court. I'm the only candidate that has judicial experience. I've been a judge for almost 8 years now. Prior to that, I was in the State House for 4 terms, where I was fortunate to get the support of my colleagues to pass a bill that would speed up the testing of rape kits and protect victims and put the perpetrators behind bars a lot quicker. I'm the only candidate that is highly recommended from the Bar Association. My colleagues, attorneys that come before me have issued statements to the Bar Association, and an independent group of attorneys and non-attorneys rated that I am highly recommended for this position. None of my opponents have any judicial experience, and neither of them are highly recommended from the Pennsylvania Bar Association. The experience that I have transcends politics. That is why I'm highly recommended, and I also have the support of law enforcement across the Commonwealth, the Pennsylvania Troopers Association, the Sheriff's Association, and the FOP, state FOP. So I appreciate all the work that people have been doing for me already. I look forward to continuing to talk to voters and let them know that I'm the most qualified candidate for the Superior Court. Thank you.
Thank you for those opening remarks. We are going to move into a series of questions. The order for answering the questions will rotate. So let's get started. I'm going to start with Dr. Batista. Why are you seeking to serve as an appellate court judge on the Superior Court of Pennsylvania?
This is something that actually started 15 years ago. I was the only attorney in the Commonwealth that traveled across the Commonwealth, went to interbranch commission hearings when the Cash for Kids scandal happened in Luzerne County. I talked to the special master, Judge Grimm, when those 5,000 cases of children and the kickbacks that were taken, and I wanted transparency in these courts and how we could improve on our court system. Those types of cases would go to the Superior Court. PCN aired that statewide multiple times in 2010, and I had 2 justices on that panel as well as other judges. And Sandra Schultz Newman, who was the first female elected to the Supreme Court, said, "Maria, why aren't you running for judge?" It was not my intent at that time to run for judge. I was not only practicing, but I was teaching juvenile justice, criminal procedure, and administration of justice. But she planted a seed 15 years ago, and I did run in 2023, almost won. I lost by 1.39%. I won in 52 of 67 counties, and I'm here again asking the voters to support me as judge of the Superior Court.
Thank you. Judge Newman, Why are you seeking to serve as an appellate court judge on the Superior Court of Pennsylvania?
The Superior Court handles topics that I'm interested in. As if you read the bar rating, my colleagues and attorneys that practice before me said that I have the knowledge, the ability, the trial experience, handled the cases that go to the Superior Court to be highly recommended for this position. I've done the work as a trial judge, done multiple jury trials in criminal, some civil, tons of non-jury trials at the family law and dependency. The one thing about this court that I really appreciate is there is a person behind each case. And I believe that each person needs to have a voice across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and that all trial courts across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania need to be fair and impartial. And this court is one that will oversee a lot of what goes on at the trial court level to make sure that rulings are fair, to make sure that they follow the Constitution, to make sure that they follow the law. I have the experience to be able to do that day one, and I look forward to the topics that will come before the Superior Court.
Thank you. And Mr. Wassmer, why are you running as to be appellate judge on the Superior Court of Pennsylvania?
I took a lot of heat from my PCN appearance when I said that I thought there were a lot of sadists out there. They kept putting me on the ballot. And I was sort of joking a little bit about that. But apparently people feel that the two parties are not so much to be trusted in all things. And one of them, of course, is being impartial in judicial decisions. I happen to note that I am the only non-politically affiliated, essentially independent on the ballot right now. I've been both a Republican and a Democrat. And one of the problems that I see is that the two parties have basically created a system where there is a lot of influence from outside entities in the judicial selection. So that's primarily one of the reasons I'm seeking to run for this office.
Great. Thank you. Actually, my next question is about some outside influence. So we are going to start with Judge Newman. What would you say to those concerned about the amount of money being spent on statewide judicial elections, including from donors outside the Commonwealth? And what steps would you take to maintain independence from campaign contributors or other special interests?
The contributions in the judicial elections are something that we have to deal with every election cycle. Now, I would say that my opponents and I would agree that most of the money looks like it's going to the Supreme Court races on the retention side. But whenever you run for judge, one of the reasons that I was highly recommended is being fair and impartial. And you can look at who's given you any type of campaign contribution. And the key is that you can recuse yourself if you believe that it is even an appearance of impropriety. And so there has to be some soul searching as a judge to make sure not only if there is a conflict, obviously you would have to recuse yourself, but also if there's an appearance of a conflict, because it is vitally important that the public trust the judiciary. Anyone that's come in front of me always has a voice to make sure that they are heard. And that is something that I pride myself in, is make sure that I am impartial and fair no matter who's in front of me.
Thank you. Mr. Wassmer, what would you say to those concerned about this issue, and what steps would you take to maintain independence from campaign contributors and special interests?
So one of the things I've done is virtually raised no money on the 3 times I've run for office intentionally. At one point, I finally realized that going out and getting endorsements was basically a no-win situation, because nobody's going to endorse me. For instance, I'm a member of the American Federation of Teachers. They're not going to endorse me because I'm not affiliated with either political party. I used to represent the Fraternal Order of Police. They're not going to represent or endorse me because I'm not the proper candidate. I've reached out to some other groups, literally was told I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat, not getting an endorsement or whatever. So I see that one of the participants in this forum is something known as the Pennsylvanians for Modern Court. One of the problems with that situation is that that completely politicizes the appointment process by whoever the governor might be or the senators. And even if you put an impartial group in to oversee this, all of these people are somehow connected.
Thank you. And Dr. Batista, how would you respond to the concern about campaign contributions and the influence of special interests?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Certainly with the courts, when you become a judge and are elected, you're a judge of all people. You're not for one party or another. Justice is to be blind. The finance reports that are filed by all of us are public knowledge and information. And as Judge Newman said, if we believe that there is an issue with a case that would come before us, we may recuse ourselves and let the parties know. I can tell you that in my primary election, I did not even raise $20,000, and over $430,000 was against me, and I was very successful without the money. And I can tell you that we have a very strong grassroots effort for my campaign, and I am reaching the people where they are across all 67 counties. And yes, while we are raising some money, this race of mine is not about money. It is about trying to get my message out that I am determined to make a difference for all Pennsylvanians so that we have justice for all, regardless of whether you are registered to vote or not, and regardless of where you come from.
Thank you. Our next question is about the jurisdiction and the work of the Superior Court. Mr. Wasmer, the Superior Court is responsible for appeals on criminal and most civil cases from the Court of Common Pleas. The appeals often involve families, children, other stakeholders in the Commonwealth. What experience do you bring that prepares you for this kind of work?
I've actually filed appeals to the Superior Court. Generally, I've been able to resolve a lot of matters on the trial court level, especially with the issues of children or domestic issues. Those are virtually almost always resolved at a trial court level. So as far as how I would approach the appeals, I would just take the normal standard work that is handed to me to do. Typically, the court is broken down into panels. There's 15 judges. Typically, an ordinary panel is of 3 judges. And one of my perspectives here, which I had discussed when I was on PCN, was that I find this a good opportunity to bring up issues in either dissents or what are called concurrences regarding what are typically unforeseen ramifications of some of the issues that pop up through our laws. So that's probably the approach I would take here.
Thank you. And Dr. Batista, what prepares you, or what experience do you bring that prepares you for the work of serving on the Superior Court?
Like I said in my opening statement, I am the only one that practiced criminal law as a prosecutor. I worked very closely with law enforcement in 2 counties. I've done the jury and bench trials as a prosecutor. I have that courtroom experience, and about 60% of the caseload that goes to the Superior Court is criminal in nature. Earlier in my practice, I did the family matters that involve families and children, whether that is child custody, adoption, divorces, property settlements. I've done the wills and estates. I've done the business law. I've done the contracts. I'm actually certified as a contracting officer at the federal level because I also worked for the military as a civilian, not as active duty. And I also was a hearing examiner. Again, while I'm not a judge on a court of common pleas like Judge Newman, I issued hundreds of decisions, and those are the same skills that you need for the Superior Court. In addition, I have 5 degrees, 3-year in education. You want someone on that court that has experience understanding children and those with special needs and or autism, which has been very prevalent in our society and our Commonwealth.
Thank you for that. I want to follow up a little bit about the scope and jurisdiction of the court. So at the state level, as at the federal level, Pennsylvania's has 3 co-equal branches of government that serve as checks on each other's power.
You didn't let me answer that
Oh my
question. How
gosh.
about-
I'm so sorry, Judge Newman.
That's okay.
I'm so
I'm just
sorry.
pointing it out.
What
I wasn't.
experience do you bring that prepares you for the work? I apologize.
That's all right. Yeah, there were 2 candidates on the previous one. I get it. It's fine. We're doing a little shuffling on this one, so that's no problem at all. But I feel like I should answer the question because everybody
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So my experience as a judge is invaluable. I've been a neutral party to hundreds of family law cases, dependency cases, criminal cases, done jury trials, and each case is unique. And I understand because I've seen it firsthand that each case has a person behind it. And that is vitally important. I've developed records. I understand that the Superior Court deals with a stale record, meaning we don't get to create our own facts at the Superior Court. We are handed what we are given, and either the jury, or if it's non-jury, the trial judge would determine the facts. I respect and appreciate everything that the county judges have done. That puts me in a position where I can look at these cases day one, understanding what the law is, how to apply the law neutral and fairly, and making sure that every voice is heard across the county, no matter where you are from, across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And that experience is invaluable, and it's something that separates myself from the other 2 candidates.
Thank you for that. And again, I apologize.
No problem.
We have time for one more question, and actually, I want to start with you, so I will not skip over you this time. And this really does again build on the answer that you just provided and that the other candidates provided. So when we think about the balance of power and checks and balances at the state level among the 3 co-equal branches of government, how do you see the role of the judiciary in maintaining that balance, particularly given the scope of the work of the Superior Court? And I'll start with Judge Newman.
Okay. Thank you. And it's important that every judge understand that we are constrained by the law and the Constitution. And so no matter what any type of personal beliefs people have, they have to be set aside. And as a judge that has that experience, one that is I'm highly recommended from the bar because I do that. Both defense attorneys, plaintiffs' attorneys, the Commonwealth, the prosecution have all weighed in on my recommendation, and it's determined that I am the one that is highly recommended for this position because I understand the issues that come before trial courts. I understand the issues that come before the Superior Court, and it is important that each branch of government understand their role, and judges focus on the law and the Constitution. We are not to upset any type of law that is passed that is constitutional. We are there to be neutral arbiters to make sure that the law and the Constitution is followed no matter what. And that's the type of judge I am, and that's the type of Superior Court judge I will be.
Thank you. Mr. Wassmer.
Would you just repeat the question for me?
So when thinking about the role of the judiciary in the in checks and balances among the 3 co-equal branches of government in Pennsylvania, how do you see the role of the judiciary in maintaining that balance, particularly given the scope of work of the Superior Court?
The court is supposed to follow the law. That's without any question. One of my biggest problems when I read judicial decisions is that sometimes I can actually tell the political perspectives of the people drafting these things. From my perspective, it seems that the 2-party system has developed into this. I like to refer to it almost as a Chinese menu order, where they pick or choose which constitutional amendments are more important than the other. I actually would follow the Constitution, not holding one higher than the other. I see it quite frequently when I see any type of decision. And I think it's a real problem that we're encountering right now in the entire legal system, and especially the court system. And one of the problems is that we're, as attorneys, not supposed to call into question the judicial system to begin with. So this is the only way I could do that as a candidate without causing outrageous harm or whatever in the system. So
Thank you. And Dr. Batista.
We have three branches of government for a reason. Our legislature makes those laws, and the governor has the opportunity to enact them or veto them. The judicial branch is a separate branch of government who is supposed to uphold the laws that are written in our Pennsylvania and US constitutions as intended. I consider myself an originalist, and I do believe that people are concerned about our judicial system, not only in Pennsylvania, but across this nation. They believe that they don't have the trust in our system like they once had, and it is up to us as a sitting judge to ensure all Pennsylvanians that when we are elected, or if we are elected as a judge on a superior court or any court in this Commonwealth, that we are going to do what is right in every single case, regardless of where you come from, what county you come from, your last name, your ethnic background, your socioeconomic background, or any other factor. Justice is to be fair, it is to be blind, and it should be justice for all.
Thank you. And thank you for this enlightening discussion. We are going to move to closing statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes, and I have very brief closing remarks. We will try to end as close to 8:30 as possible. We are offering closing statements in reverse of the opening statements. So we will start with Judge Newman, then have Dr. Batista, and then Mr. Wassemer. So Judge Newman.
Thank you for this opportunity to talk to voters across Pennsylvania. Once again, I appreciate the League of Women Voters and the information that you give to voters to make sure that they are informed. My name's Brandon Newman. I'm born and raised in Washington County. I'm fortunate to be a judge in Washington County and for almost 8 years. I have 4 children and my wife, and she's ready for this campaign to be over. I can say that. My children are 9, 7, 5, and 3. And so it is very busy in my household on top of the docket that I currently have. I have the judicial experience to be on the Superior Court. When you look at an independent body like the Pennsylvania Bar Association, and they do a thorough investigation and they interview you with attorneys, non-attorneys, attorneys from every type of practice, and they talk to your colleagues and they talk to attorneys that come before you, and they determine that I was highly recommended for this position because I'm fair and I'm impartial. I write good opinions, sound opinions in the law, sound opinions based on the facts that were presented to the court. This experience cannot be duplicated. This experience transcends politics, no matter what party you are. This experience is the experience that Pennsylvanians should count on and expect from judges on an appellate court. In addition to that, I am endorsed by the law enforcement across Pennsylvania. I have endorsements of working unions and working groups across Pennsylvania. I look forward to continuing my work of being fair, impartial, understanding that every case, there's a person behind that case, and understanding that that everybody's rights are important, and I will have an impact to make sure that the law and the Constitution is followed. My name's Brandon Newman. I'm a judge in Washington County. I'm asking for your vote and your support, either by mail-in ballot or November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Batista.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event for all of us, for the listeners. My name is Maria Batista, and I'm a candidate for judge of the Pennsylvania Superior Court. What every Pennsylvania wants is a judge that they can trust, that's going to be fair, keep prejudice and bias out of the courtroom and politics out of the courtroom. I'm an independent thinker. I have the judicial temperament that is needed to handle any type of case, whether it's a criminal case or a civil matter. I have the most diverse background of all three candidates. As a former prosecutor, we have seen much crime in our society, especially the last few weeks. And you ask yourself, do you want your communities to be safe? All criminal matters, if appealed, go to the Superior Court. I am the only candidate that has a background in education. I taught in a K through 12 setting. I also taught in higher education. I've dealt with children with special needs and autism. There are many cases. That's the second largest body of law to the Superior Court, are those involving families and children. Most of the cases that are heard on the Superior Court are heard by a panel of 3 judges. Wouldn't you rather have one of those judges that have experience with children, and especially those with special needs, so that when you're evaluating the best interest of the child, and if there was an error committed from the court below, that someone has that additional knowledge that they can bring to the court, and also to train other judges in the Court of Common Pleas. I also bring geographic diversity. I am the only candidate from a rural county. I come from Clarion County in northwestern Pennsylvania. Currently, of 15 judges with the 1 vacancy, there's no sitting judge from a rural county. And I have the experience issuing hundreds of decisions. I bring a whole package to this court, and I bring additional experience and knowledge that no other candidate has. And I would appreciate your support and vote on November 4th or by mail-in ballot. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you this evening.
You're mute.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And finally, Mr. Wassmer.
My name is Dan Wassmer. I've been an attorney for over 35 years now. I've spent a lot of time in the education system where I actually kind of sort of have to judge students on a daily basis. So one of the things I do is I actually lecture on the law, and I take all of this stuff very seriously. I have a diverse background in every issue that the 2 good people that I'm running against have basically mentioned. I have not worked as a prosecutor, but however, Ms. Batista would acknowledge that there is actually something known as private criminal prosecutions in Pennsylvania. I've actually been consulted about those issues where prosecutors, strangely enough, have actually not moved forward on cases that should have been brought forward, in my mind. So I'm not altogether overtly one way or the other impressed by somebody being a prosecutor or having some other information or knowledge in that area. It's the fact is that we need an impartial member of the public on the court, and that's what I'm offering people. I would also mention that my residence is actually Pike County, Pennsylvania, and that's pretty rural area. So I'm not sure who was doing the background checking stuff here, but I actually have a practice in Bucks County. I've been down to Philadelphia to handle cases. I've been to Bradford County. I've been around the state handling cases. I've handled cases outside the state and federal court cases even and whatnot. So I've handled bankruptcy matters, you name it, I've done it basically. So that's all I have to offer. So.
Thank you. And thank you to our candidates for sharing your time. Thank you to all of our candidates for sharing your perspective. Thank you for your commitment to public service this evening. And thank you for hanging with us. We are a few minutes over time. I realize that. I also want to thank our nonpartisan co-sponsors, Pennsylvanians for Modern Courts and the Committee of 70 for helping to make this forum possible. To everyone watching, Pennsylvania's elections are only successful when voters are informed and engaged. Please remember that the voter registration deadline is October 20th. The last day to apply for a mail ballot is October 28th, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. You can find everything you need to prepare your ballot, including candidate information, deadlines, and polling place details at vote411.org. This is the League's trusted nonpartisan voter guide. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to our candidates. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, make your voice heard at the polls. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.